Have you ever trusted people so much that you thought they would never betray you only to find out they were quietly stealing from you the entire time? That's exactly what happened to me. I'm Daniel, 62 years old, and for the last 3 decades, my ranch has been more than just land. It's my legacy, my blood, my sweat, and every memory of my late wife, Laura. She always said, "Daniel, this land will outlive us. Protect it with your heart." But little did I know, people I thought were my neighbors were secretly plotting against me. It started with a dry creek bed. For years, my cattle drank from it, and I irrigated my hayfield with it. But one summer, the water ran lower and lower until one morning, it was gone. Completely dry. I stood there staring at cracked mud, whispering, "Lord, how's this possible? This stream never runs dry." Later that week, I noticed something strange. At the far edge of my ranch near the fence line shared with the HOA-run community, I saw heavy machinery, pipes, trucks, workers. I marched over and asked the foreman, "What on earth are you doing on my land?" He looked me straight in the eye and said, "We've got permits from the HOA. This pipeline is feeding the community water system. Nothing for you to worry about, old man." Old man? My fists clenched. That creek is my only water source for my livestock. "You've drained it." The man just smirked. "Talk to the HOA board. We're just doing our job." That night, I sat alone on the porch staring at the stars. My wife's rocking chair creaked in the wind. The silence cut deep. They weren't just stealing water, they were trampling over the one thing Laura asked me to protect. I called the HOA president the next day. A woman named Karen, of course. Her voice dripped with arrogance. "Daniel, your ranch doesn't need that water. The community does. Our property values depend on it. You should be proud you're helping your neighbors. Proud." I snapped. "You didn't ask. You didn't pay. You stole." She laughed. "It's done. Get over it." I hung up, my heart pounding with fury and grief. But deep inside, a small fire lit up. They thought they could walk all over me. They thought age made me weak. They had no idea who they were dealing with. This wasn't just about water. This was about dignity. And I was about to fight back in a way they'd never see coming. The next morning, I drove to towns over to the county records office. I spent hours digging through property deeds, water rights, and land surveys. And that's when I discovered something shocking. The HOA pipeline was pulling from a spring about 10 miles upstream. A spring that, believe it or not, was still privately owned. And that owner? An old friend of mine, George, who had been trying to sell his land for years. I called him immediately. "George, you still looking to sell that mountain parcel?" He chuckled. "If you've got the money, Daniel, it's yours. Nobody wants land that's just rocks and water." I smiled. "I'll take it." A week later, the paperwork was done. That water source? Legally mine. Every drop. The day I signed the deed, I drove up to the spring. The air was cool, the water bubbling like life itself. I knelt down, scooped a handful, and whispered, "Laura, I'll protect it." 2 days later, I called the HOA president. "Karen," I said calmly, "I now own the water rights to your entire pipeline. You've been stealing from me. And starting tomorrow, that supply is cut off." There was silence on the line, then she exploded. "You can't do that. Hundreds of families rely on this water." "Should have thought of that before you stole from me," I replied. That evening, I shut the valve. By morning, panic spread through the HOA community. No water to shower. No water to cook. No water to flush toilets. Chaos. People screaming in the streets. Board members begging me to reconsider. But I wasn't cruel. I just wanted them to understand. At a public meeting, I stood before them. Karen's face was red with rage. "You're ruining lives!" She shouted. "No," I said firmly. "You ruined mine first. You didn't just steal water, you stole respect, trust, and the promise I made to my wife. You thought you could take without consequence. Well, actions have consequences." Some neighbors hung their heads. A few even clapped. For the first time, they saw the truth. But Karen, she stormed out, swearing this wasn't over. Weeks passed. The HOA scrambled for alternatives. Tanker trucks, bottled water, even lawsuits. But the law was on my side. I owned the source. End of story. Then one evening, something unexpected happened. A group of families from the HOA knocked on my door. Not with anger, but with tears. One woman said softly, "Mr. Daniel, we're sorry. We didn't know what the board had done to you. We were just told you were being selfish. But now, we see," another man added, "we want to make it right. If we pay for the water fairly, will you sell to the community? At least until they build their own system." For a moment, my heart softened. I thought of Laura, how she always believed in forgiveness. I nodded. "Yes, but under one condition, you'd never treat another neighbor the way you treated me." Tears rolled down their cheeks. Deal. The next week, we signed a fair contract. I didn't get rich. I didn't want to. What I wanted was respect, and at last, I had it. Even Karen eventually had to step down as HOA president. She couldn't handle the shame. As I sat once more on my porch, watching the sun set over the ranch, I whispered, "We did it." Laura, they'll never forget this lesson. I hope you don't forget it either, dear listener. Because sometimes life teaches us that standing up for what's right isn't about revenge. It's about showing others the value of fairness, respect, and dignity. So what about you? Have you ever been betrayed by people who thought they could walk all over you? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Asterisk, this story is just the beginning. There is so much more ahead. Subscribe to the channel to join me on this journey.